Okay, this is from the book Straight A at Stanford and on to Harvard by me, Pete Rogers, about how to become a great student at the college and graduate school level. It also applies to high school students. Okay, this chapter is getting started at Stanford. Stanford's like the Harvard of the West Coast. You know, at Stanford, the average SAT score is about 99th percentile. Pre-med classes are some of the toughest classes at any college. In Stanford pre-med class, average SAT score is in the upper half of the 99th percentile. It's the land of California valedictorians. Most of the students are from California or the West Coast. A lot of them know each other. Some have gone out to fancy prep schools in the East Coast, like Groton and other those places. There were some parties at the beginning of the year, and they were mostly the California people hanging around with the California people. I didn't know anybody, you know. There's a lot of good-looking guys there. A lot of the guys tend to be student-athlete types. A lot of them from wealthy families, really nice cars. Everybody's talking about their social life in California, their high school sports team, their plans at Stanford, you know, and I'm just sitting there. I don't know a single person. It was not like a real friendly place either. I was totally, you know, on the wallflower. I was a total nobody. I didn't know anybody in my dorm. There's only one other guy from my high school in Illinois, and he's a good guy, but we were forced to live separate from each other. They didn't allow you to live with people from your high school. They wanted you to meet other people. But, you know, for guys, that's difficult. You know, we're not intrinsically social. And I was in over my head. I was not, you know, recruited for academics. I was recruited for wrestling on a wrestling scholarship because they were trying to build up their wrestling team. If I hadn't gotten injured, I would have wanted to go to Iowa because I used to be a good wrestler. But, you know, my injury, you know, the fracture through the growth plate of my clavicle, the collarbone, sort of put an end to that. My junior year in high school, I was 39-1 in the state of Illinois. I took third in the state, despite almost no coaching. I had a lot of athletic ability. I knew with a little bit of coaching, I could be really good. And, you know, as I lost my physical strength because I could no longer work out and lift weights, guys kept bugging me. What happened to you, man? You used to be strong. You're shrinking. What happened to you? And, you know, I couldn't wrestle my senior year of high school, and I was pissed off at my father because I wanted to take the year off from school, come back and win state, be undefeated. He wouldn't let me. He's like, school's much more important than wrestling. And, you know, he's telling me school's much more important than wrestling. Then he's always bugging me about why don't I win every wrestling tournament. You know, it's sort of a double standard that used to piss me off. So he wouldn't let me. I threatened to run away from home so I could take the year off and come back. But anyways, I eventually, you know, obeyed my father, went to school my senior year of high school, did not take the year off. When I got to Stanford, you know, it's like a million miles away from Illinois. And I wasn't ready. There were lots of kids, they've already taken, you know, half of the entire freshman year in AP classes. I didn't even know what an AP class was. I never took an honors class in high school. Sort of like this semi-honors class of, you know, English. Okay, I never heard of an AP test. My parents were fuzzy foreigners. They didn't know the American system. So we didn't know how to play the system, if you will. The Stanford coach somehow had heard of me. I had won an international competition and beat a bunch of German guys, and that's maybe where he had heard of me. And so they offered me a scholarship. I was very happy. The Schultz brothers were going to be there. National champions, they were going to be the assistant coaches. That made me, and so he said to me, would you be willing to sign a letter of intent to come to Stanford? And at the moment, you know, I was kind of desperate. I wanted to escape from my life where I was like losing my athletic ability, and everyone's like, what the heck happened to you? I was sick and tired of people asking me that. I sort of wanted to reinvent myself, go far away, build myself up again and be great, and then come back. And in a moment reminiscent of Kent Dorfman of Flounder and Animal House, I said, I'll do it. And I signed the letter of intent to go to Stanford. You know, it was a chance to be coached by the Schultz brothers, the best in the West, you know, national champions who went on to become world and Olympic champions. Dave Schultz was like Bruce Lee with all his technique. Mark Schultz was kind of like Conan the Barbarian. Everybody was scared of him. They were nicknamed the Bruise Brothers because they were so dominant in national and international competition in wrestling. They ended up having a bunch of movies made about them. One is Foxcatcher, The Prince of Pennsylvania, etc. Mark Schultz ended up writing that famous book called Foxcatcher. When I was sitting in my dorm room alone day after day at Stanford with no friends, there were no social events, there would be no parties, there was no dating, there was nothing. It seemed like the right choice of words. My girlfriend Carol, the hometown honey, called me up. And far away back in Illinois, she said, oh, would it be okay with you if I went to homecoming with Michael Ange? I mean, it's my senior year. All my friends are going. I just want to go to the dance with my friends. I promise not to do anything with him in a sexual way. I'm like, yeah, great. That's a great idea. So I was pretty sad about that. That was drifting apart. And then, you know, I got injured again in wrestling. It looked like I was going to be out for the season. And, you know, this is just in the autumn. And I called my mom. She said, how's it going, Peter? I said, Mom, it's great. I have no friends. I don't know anyone here except the coach. The coach is mad at me because I got injured. He said he's sorry he wasted a scholarship on me. My girlfriend's fooling around with some guy. I'm the worst student in all my classes. I think I'm going to flunk out. But other than that, it's going well. I started crying. I was a little freshman, lonely little freshman. I said, Mom, I want to come home. I don't belong here. I want to transfer to school in Illinois. I'm so lonely. My mother said, Peter, I want you to listen to me. I love you more than anything in the world. I want you to do something for me. I want you to try as hard as you can for 1 year, just 1 year at Stanford. And if you don't like it after that, you can transfer home. You can call me every day. I'm like, thanks, Mom. And I love my mom more than anything in the world. So I'm like, okay, Mom, for you, I'll do it. For you, I'll do it for 1 year. Then I'm coming home. At that moment, I was deciding to myself, what am I going to do? How can I make something good come out of this situation? And I finalized the decision. I decided, I don't know if I'm ever going to be a great athlete again. I want to become the best possible student I can be. I got nothing else to do. Why don't I try to become the best possible student I can do? I said, I'm going to become like a learning machine. I didn't know how to approach it, but I knew I could push myself. I was a very intense guy. I said, I'm going to take all my sadness, frustration, anger, and energy, and I'm going to channel it into becoming the best possible student. And I looked out over the balcony and I saw all this vomit all over the sidewalk and like all these kids who had been kind of sheltered in their childhoods going out drinking and getting drunk and vomiting all over the place. And I'm like, good. Go ahead, go to all your parties, get drunk, vomit all over the place, go home to your families on the weekends. You're probably smarter than me, but it doesn't matter. While you are goofing off, I'm going to be studying and I'm going to catch you.